I'm pushing this out now. I really have like 4 other videos I want to push out, but this one's like the other Asa project titles coming out soon. And I know if I don't fucking push this out now, I'm gonna try to integrate the newest title to this whole thing, and it's already like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to freaking re-edit the whole thing and write the whole thing again. It's like, fuck it. All right. So this one's gonna be out, and in like 2 weeks, the next one will be out. I don't know, it'll be like if Shoot Order, or it'll be like Versh, or even the Phantom Trigger, but I think it might be Shoot in Order because it would be like the shortest one of the 3. I finished Futamata Renai. I'm not really a fan. It's part of the Asa Project brand, and that's usually hit or miss for me. Technically, I had drafts of the other like translated titles that I never got around to pushing, so I'm using that and just putting Futamata alongside them. Before going into it, I'll be shorting their names. The 4 titles are Futamata Renai, 2 Times the Trouble, Sankaku Renai, Love Triangle Trouble, Koikari Love for Hire, and Renai Cross Royale Loves the Battle. So Futamata, Sankaku, Koikari, and Royale respectively. Technically, the Koikari title is longer, but it didn't make any sense. Renai Karimashita Koikari is like calling game Devil May Cry :DMC. It's like, yes, that's what it means. Like, what the fuck? Also on a scale, I put Koikari on the top with like a 6.5 to close to a 7, and Royale and Futamata at a 6, and Sankaku at a 5. On a more biased level, I'd raise like Koikari to an 8. A year or 2 back, I remember someone saying like, oh, Smee's dialogue was cringe, and I can kind of see that, but it's more towards just being like goobers or silly to the point that characters kind of unhinged. Asa Project characters are more like pure brain rot. It was like those trashy TV shows from like the 90s or like the early 2000s at MTV and shit like that. And that's like their selling point. You either submerge yourself into like the style of meta cringe comedy and get some laughs, or just disregard all the titles. Like, Smee could still be charming and it relied more on the voice actors, but Asa Project is usually just like a very brain rot, and you question why you're reading this until you find something funny and you laugh at it. You're like, alright, fine, but overall it's like, you don't read this title to be impressed by anything, it's just to pass the time. Funny enough, Futamata actually has the least of this, to the point that it didn't really feel like an Asa Project title. Sure, the scenario is still trashy, but almost none of the characters are throwing themselves at walls with how stupid they are. It's kind of more generic this time around, except I hated most of the characters more often than not, until actually getting to their routes. The gist is now the MC is a little shit that's into Yua. He proclaims his love to her every day, and she just ignores it. Maybe an asshole the first day or 2, but it's on him at this point. Yu is constantly kind of a piece of shit as well until like after the common route. It's that character you question how everybody doesn't just ignore her. She's actually kind of funny after the common route, where it's like, it's either her own route or she's like a supporting joke character afterwards. There's a lot of banter around. Her banter is funny. Everything else is like, why do people talk to you? Anyways, Yua is never going to reciprocate this guy's feelings, so instead his friend invites him to this mixer, but instead of going for that, it's more like, hey, this guy's gonna eat all your free food if you can talk to this girl, and it's like, it's their own little bet. It's like, alright, whatever, right? And that leads to Karame, who isn't a piece of shit, but in return is very one note. She likes Takoyaki to the point that's her main trait after like vomiting after like a half a cup of booze. So she's kind of an airhead. She gets teased a lot by the group and now, and that's mostly what she does. It's funny that I thought she'd be kind of like one of the more main focuses of the title, but she doesn't really get that much. Route isn't anything special outside of like shutting Yua up, and her interactions on the other routes when she doesn't get chosen isn't all that impressive either. So at least Yua was kind of funny here and there in every other route. You can say whatever about Koichoko, but Chisato won't let you forget about her in other routes. Like, fuck you, why didn't you choose me? And it's like, that was interesting, that was fun. This one's like, alright, Karame is kind of sad here and there, and that's it. She kind of whines and she complains about it here and there, but it's like, yeah, it's all 1 second kind of thing, and that's it. So anyways, she got wasted and now was already sleep deprived and running on fumes. So it gets her in this one of those hotels, and they wake up and she thinks like, oh, they banged. So now she's forcing him to go out with her. A bit later he sees Yua, but decides not to say his usual like love proclamation because of Karame. It's like, oh, I'm technically going out with her, I'm not gonna say anything. So now Yua asks him out too. So now it's the 2 times the trouble, it's the title, right? So it's just him juggling these two while interacting with some other people like Miyako, or getting some help from Rui. Rui figured out what was going on pretty much immediately, promises to help him because she wants the old Yua back. She's not such a bitch back then. Technically the way Yua behaves does get explained later on, but honestly it should have been put a little earlier. Basically, it's what leads to one of the other possible 4 routes, with the last being that Nao failed on his last gamble to get Yua, so it's not going to work with Yua anymore, and eventually just goes out with Rui instead. Rui's route was actually my favorite, but it doesn't really feel like something from Asa Project. It's kind of the case with most of the title, but especially Rui. Like, she could have been in a SME title, and I would just be like, oh, she's a little bit toned down compared to the other characters, but she can fit in there. The college scenario is extremely bare bones. It's just an excuse for them to be in this dorm and to be drinking. Miyako is the fourth main character, and in a different VN, this would have been like the main slash true route. I would say Asa Project doesn't do that technically, but it felt like they did that in Royale. You could say that was part of the joke in Royale, where like a lot of these people could be like true routes, but they did kind of imply that one route specifically happened in this title and is the one that felt like the true route. You'd think Miyako would get a larger route, but that ended up being Rui, and that was kind of funny. You can say it's because like, oh, technically the lead up to Rui's route was already part of Yu's route, so Rui didn't really have much until her route actually happened. And Miyako having less does work with the mannerisms of her not carrying all that like trivial shit, so there's less to go through, so that's why her route's smaller. I was like, I can see those points and how it works that way. But in the end, it's closer to a 5 than a 6. But I had fun here and there, and Rui really pulled it through. A lot of the characters were more one note or tropey, but Yua ended up being pretty fun, albeit still a massive red flag to tolerate normally. Like, the banter between the two is funny because they're basically just two assholes trying not to lose to each other. It's like, alright, when that's happening, it is funny. When Yua's bantering with other people or shitting or just like shit talking, it's funny. When Yua's like trying to do something, it's like, wow, this is awful. Sankaku was on Weeb Culture, basically gacha, anime, games, and oroge. The common route is pretty entertaining, but the routes are horrendously bad to the point that the best one is a side route. The main character devolves heavily and becomes massively corny when you hit a route, especially during the age scenes. Like, holy shit, they're so bad. Otherwise, Nadoru would have been like the best route, even if it's very generic at times. I think the favorite for the majority of people is like Sheena, and you can see why when she's basically mental from the start and breaks the fourth wall more often than like all the others combined. My favorite was Maho, and I know a few that felt the same. Sadly, her route is the worst of the bunch. The love triangle comes from how the plot branches off. You don't go into a route directly. The first branch splits the path between the sisters and the other two. Eventually leads to the last branch. It's like, okay, now you pick one of the two you actually have left. It's like, alright, it's fine. So in short, pretty good common route, but awful character routes. And that's the main reason why I put it as a 5. A lot of these characters have wasted potential, but especially Maho. And I had in my notes that's like, oh, it felt like a different writer took over after the common route. And apparently that's the case. It has like 5 of them, but one of them did all the H scenes alongside all of Sheena and half of Maho's route. I was like, holy, you did this. Holy crap. Technically, this also contained one of my favorite sub-routes. These sub-routes are still short, but I wouldn't have guessed that the Fujoshi character, or the Fujoshi route, wouldn't be my favorite route in this title. And it was just a simple like, hey, you enjoy your weird shit and I enjoy my weird shit, but there's no reason we have to shit on each other for our tastes. And like, fair enough, that's cool. And I guess I liked it because it's more of a normal route when it's still like one of the weirdo ones. Koikari is a joke on those rental services. So your character's pretending to be a boyfriend or a paramour or like a brother, depending on the client, so you can get enough money to support a sister. The twin sisters are crazy, both are horny a lot, but what triggers it are different but also kind of similar. Emi's retarded, a show off, and normally eats shit as a consequence, but still works really hard to maintain herself. She's friends with Hasumi or whatever it is, who has a rich upbringing but also just as retarded. Her main thing is like she really likes cheese and food and just like high calories, and you think like surely she has more than that, and she does, but what you remember more is like she likes fucking cheese. It's like how Futamata Karama is like, oh yeah, Takoyaki. It's like holy shit, I don't care. But overall, like Hasumi's just like a wealthy weirdo, and that's it. Then there's Tsubaki, who's like for the most part normal, but just wants to spend her time like at home drinking and playing games and shit talking other players in her PvP games, and that's it. She only hires your character to get her parents off her back. I thought she was actually older. She's only 24. I don't know why your parents are like so into it, but I think that's like a thing back then. But she also has like a really pretty janky looking side spray. It's like every time it looks like, holy shit, what happened? It looks like you got run over. The common route is weaker than Sankaku, but it's still relatively good. I liked it at least. I think I liked it a lot more simply because it was paced well and not just balls to the wall crazy 100% of the time. It gets very tiring when that happens. The H-ins are no longer that annoying to go through compared to Sankaku, but I can see if some people still don't like the twins. And that's mainly that a huge amount of this crazy shit is dumped on them, and someone became my favorite character with how retarded they are like throughout the whole plot. And to be fair, I wasn't really a fan of Konatsu compared to Chinatsu as well. And part of it was Chinatsu's overt need to be pampered because she had to take care of her own sister before. It's like, oh, it's her own desire that she has to be taken care of now. It's like, oh, alright, it makes sense. Hasumi's route was the only route that was pretty like whatever. I find Tsubaki's route to be the only one that was pretty good, or at least well written. She's kind of relatable to a lot of people, especially considering she's the least crazy out of the 5. In short, this one is pretty good and probably the only one I'd recommend out of the 4. The pro tag is a downer, but that works with all the dumbasses around him. And even when he goes a little bit crazy, he has a sister that grounds him all the time and it works out. I feel like this should be a 7, and the only reason I downgraded was because I read a SME title around the same time and I felt that was a better like baseline for 7s. It's like, alright. Overall, it's like, I'm biased. I'll put this a 7 or 8, it'll be fine. I'd say if you want to try like an Asa Project title that's in English, it would be this one. It's not as crazy as Sankaku or Royale, but still enough to be unique, unlike a lot of Futamata where it's like, whatever. You read the Twins for the crazy, Tsubaki for the more like grounded route, or Emi if you want something in between. And that's about it. Royale is a lot more like Sankaku, except probably more crazy and a huge mess. Pretty much all of them are retarded and it just tired me out. Mari is an overly excited puppy. Shione, or whatever her name is, has to have like brain damage or something. Nonoko is just a sister character that's like a yandere or whatever, and that's kind of a recurring theme where each character is like a spoof of cliches. Like, alright, I understand, it's fun. If you like the character, you'll like it, and that's it. It even goes hard on like the bad endings with the male friend thing where he decided he wants some dick and got mad when no dick was found. It was pretty funny, honestly. The only ones that felt like were going anywhere was like Ren's route, and then really a lot of that is based on that Yuna was there, who was the other like decently written route as well. Mari has her moments, but just like most of the routes, they're kind of padded just to give them more H scenes. At least they had scenes between the H scenes, so I don't really mind that much. Funny enough is that I think Yuna is considered the canon ending, and she's not even in the like title page or the cover. It's hilarious. The only other way I can think about it is like, oh, the one in Futamata talking about was not Yuna, it was like Ren. I was like, oh, alright. But I think they actually do mean Yuna, so it's funny. I think I've seen people either go for Yuna or like Ao as their favorite character, and Ao's just like a side character, right? Mine is Go, the dad who's just jerking off in the living room for some stupid reason. He specifically works due to him having like low screen time, so his jokes land, even though they're all like derivative of like 3 jokes. Like when he gets a grandson, he just tells his son that he can fuck off because he has a granddaughter now. He doesn't care. It's like that's funny. So for the point of Royale, I thought it would have like a lot more fuckery going around where the main character would jump between routes. So it can go out with like run up, but then he says nah and goes with Shione, and then at that point the others would then try to steal him from Shione, but also have Ren trying to fuck up the relationship and be funny that way. It'd be massive trash, but sometimes that's what you want, right? And it's not like, oh, he can go back to Ren in that scenario, but the more times he swaps, the more enemies you get. And after a while, I noticed all I wanted was like another stupid VN like Kurukuru Fanatic, and I didn't get it. And it's not like there's none of that, but Mari and Rena constantly like butt in any opportunity they get. It just, you can't interact with any of that, and I thought it'd just be fun. It'd be trash, it'd be funny. Overall, it was fine. I gave it a 6. The humor wasn't really my cup of tea half the time, and I didn't get what I wanted, but it's still serviceable. It's fine. For Royale to be in the name, it sure did stop being a grudge match after like the comment stories, like what the fuck happened. I feel like it kept on going longer in both like Futamata and Koikari on that specific thing on the grudge matches. Is like this one's specifically called Royale and has the weakest part of that. It's kind of weird. At least after the comment story, I mean. And these are the tier lists. There's no real grading this time around because almost none of them will pass like even an 8 or a 7. It's more like shades of 6s or like low 7s, right? This one is based on the routes. I did add 2 side routes in here because I actually like them. It's not like they're much larger than the other side routes from the other games, but I felt like it had more going on for it instead of just like, hey, here's an H scene. I guess there's like maybe 1 side or maybe 2 side in Koikari that I also like, but it's still, they were like lower than these two. It's like, alright, then I have to add more scats, fuck it. Maho was a waste of potential. Technically, Yua should actually be on top and Maho be placed like 1 further down. Yako and Mari should be a little bit higher, but I wouldn't put them as high as the middle group anyway, and it's like, why extend the freaking list further than I have to? I'd push Olivia higher, but I think that's more of a bias than anything else. But that could be said for Akane as well. Yua could probably go higher, but she annoyed the shit out of me in the first half too much. Like, holy crap, you're so ass. It's one of those people, it's like, why do people even like talk to you? And this is more of an overall, I wouldn't say the bottom sections are bad, just kind of boring at times and could be swapped around. Like, I could swap Hasumi or Nonoka with Karame or something like that, it's fine. And these are the characters. It's 100% biased on what I found funny or what I just liked.